Landscape of medicine is changing. I honestly think we're going to see more people coming out of these employed positions into maybe opening up their own practice. I did all of my training in Houston. That was not my plan, but it's the way that it ended up. Then I was an employed physician for about 7 years. Then I decided I wanted to open up my own practice. I didn't go to business school, and I'm teaching myself, and I'm teaching through books and through courses. My first lesson in the thing that if you take nothing else away, you're always making a bet. So always bet on yourself. Every decision you make, there are risks. It's okay to be one way in one aspect of your life and totally different in the other. The decisions you make, there's always a risk because there's opportunity lost. If you can start investing earlier, you're going to get more benefits from that, and then start investing later in life and you just don't get as much of that advantage.
I'ma kick back when you fake like that.
Welcome to Beauty Unveiled. I'm Dr. Angela Sturm, and today I'm going to do a little something different. I'm going to talk to you about some lessons that I have learned as a physician entrepreneur. There are not that many people that are physician entrepreneurs anymore. A lot of people are taking employed physician positions and looking at different options as far as how they're going to practice medicine, and the landscape of medicine is changing. So I honestly think we're going to see more people coming out of these employed positions into maybe opening up their own practice, looking into more concierge options, and looking into ways that they can take care of patients in a more personable, relatable kind of a way that honestly is more financially responsible for the patient and themselves. And so a little background on me, I did all of my training in Houston. That was not my plan, but it's the way that it ended up. I joined my fellowship director at the end of my fellowship, and then I was an employed physician for about 7 years. Whenever discussions about buy-in, buy-out didn't go the way that maybe he or I had wanted it to go, then I decided I wanted to open up my own practice, and that was almost 5 years ago now, which is crazy because time really just flies. And I think there's things that I've learned that I would like other people to know, and I wish somebody had told me before I got into it, and things that I'm constantly still learning because this is a whole new thing for me, and I think I'm in that part of practice and in life where the business part is the biggest part of the lessons that you're learning, because I didn't go to business school, and I'm teaching myself, and I'm teaching through books and through courses and things like that, and that's how pretty much all of us do it. So my first lesson in the thing that if you take nothing else away, you're always making a bet. So always bet on yourself. Every decision you make, there are risks. And I think it's important to think about that and risk stratify whenever you're coming out of training and you're deciding what you're going to do, or you're deciding to transition is, like how risk averse am I? Do I not really like risk, which most physicians don't? Or I'm okay with risks. And personally, I'm okay with risk in a business sense, but I'm not really okay with risks in a medical sense. So it's okay to be one way in one aspect of your life and totally different in the other. And that's where I'm at as far as the decisions you make, there's always a risk because there's opportunity lost. If you decide, hey, I'm going to get an employed position because that's going to be a more stable income, which is absolutely true. And I think in many cases, that's a good way to go and be able to get your feet on the ground and pay back some of your debts, because if you're not a physician, you don't know, we have about 6 figures of debt whenever we come out, and so you have to pay that back before you can even start really being able to enjoy what people feel like is this great lifestyle, but it's not really in the beginning with that kind of debt. So I think that is a good option for a lot of people, and being able to really understand who you are as a physician and how you want to practice, and the things that you want to do for your patients, and really be able to be that good doctor that you want to be without having to worry about all of the business aspects of it. But understand there is a point where you're going to have some opportunity loss if you're doing that, because there is a point where you're going to want to do things different, where you're going to want to change the patient experience, where you are going to want to have more control over how much you take home of what you're bringing in, and be able to do more things with it, be able to, whatever that is, invest, because if you can start investing earlier, you're going to get more benefits from that, as opposed to having to pay all those things off, having to get a smaller percentage of what you take in, and then start investing later in life, and you just don't get as much of that advantage. So there's always a risk. If you feel like you're taking the less risky option of really not making a decision or making the safest decision, you still have that risk of not being able to capitalize on who you are and the most that you can get out of it. So I say, if you're going to bet, always bet on yourself of what is the best that you can think that you're going to be able to do the best job, and what your goals are for that situation. And know it's going to change, because life changes, we change, everything changes, and so don't be afraid of making that next step, whatever that is, whatever is right for you. Because I've also known physicians that had a private practice and then went to an employed situation because that was the right thing for them to do at that point in their career and in life. And so change is perfectly fine, and it shouldn't be as scary as we make it. And understand that not everyone and everything is for you, and that's okay. It's better to have very high standards and decide exactly what it is that you want and who you want and the way that things are going to be, and take the time. And sometimes young physicians don't want to take the time to do this, or don't conceptually know exactly what it is that we're asking, to come up with your mission and your vision statement, and all of what are your core values, what are the core values that you want for your people that work in your office, and how do you want people taken care of. And that will honestly make your life easier if you're able to really sit with those things and decide what those are earlier on, and then you hire for those qualities. I know that I want somebody who's curious and inquisitive and wants to find the easiest way to do something, that's not going to just say, okay, this is how we do it, and you just keep doing it even though it's wrong. That person that's going to say, this doesn't seem like it's right, are you sure? And is willing to question things, because that's so invaluable to me. Is you can have all the wisdom in the world, all the knowledge in the world, maybe knowledge is a better word, but if you're not willing to question things, you're not really going to be better every single day. So I know that that's something that's very important for me, and so that's the quality that I hire for. And once you figure out who that is, who that person is that you want in every seat in your office, it makes things so much easier. And it also makes it easier to accept not everyone's for you. There may be amazing people that you meet and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is incredible. Maybe you like them very much. This is someone you would definitely hang out with. You would definitely want to spend time with, but maybe that's not the right person for your office. And this can also be true of patients or clients. They're wonderful, but they may not be the right person for you in that situation. And just letting go of that is very freeing. That, especially in the beginning, turnover is going to happen. And it's so stressful when you think, oh my gosh, I thought this person was going to be here forever. And then you just realize that you outgrew each other. And that's okay. And being okay with that. The turnover is going to happen. And it's especially going to happen in the beginning, where you're figuring out who this business is. It's like your baby. It's growing, it's becoming itself. And so it's okay that you decide who is in it and who is not in it. And you'll have pressures from other people too if there are turnover. Oh, well, why is there turnover? Or what's going on with this? Or what happened with that person? And so there can't be some guilt or making you feel bad about that. But I say don't. You have to let that go, because it's much better to part ways and say, you know what, it was great and I appreciate everything that you've done for us, than to keep trying to make a relationship work, which is true in many different aspects of life. And this is no different. And like I said, I think it's very important to establish the rules that you want to have. Where is the moral compass for you and for your business, and what those rules are, and you stick to them. And that is the most fair you can be for your patients and for your employees. And you feel like you're being nice at the time of, oh, well, I will maybe accommodate this or accommodate that. And I have always regretted bending the rules, and you have to be strong enough to say, no, this is what it is, and this is how it's going to be. And if that person respects you and respects your practice, respects you as a medical provider, whether this is a patient, whether this is, an employee, I've never regretted sticking by the rules and saying, this is what it is, this is how things are going to be, and being strong enough to do that whenever a lot of us are people pleasers, because we go into this because we want to help people and we want to do everything we can for people. So you feel like you're helping someone and you want to, try to accommodate things and do things for them. And I think you can do things for them while still holding strong boundaries. So I don't know if it's controversial or not, but I think not all leadership advice is for you. I have done a lot with like leadership groups and books and retreats and lots of different things, trying to figure out, my leadership style and the way that I can lead the people that are in my office the best. And some of the advice it's coming from people, so it's flawed in some way. It's coming from our experience, and I absolutely value and learn from everyone's experience that I can, because that's a road that they have been down and they can tell me what's down that road. But that may not be your road. So understand that and take it for what it is. A lot of the advice I've been given is, you really have to, and this is good advice before I say it, understand this came from people that I really respect, and it's good advice that you do have to connect with your staff and you have to take the time and make sure they know that you care. And, some of the biggest regrets from people that I really, really admire is they didn't feel like their staff didn't know if they cared because they were just so busy doing all the things that they had to do day to day. And I think that that's true and it's valid and is something that we should absolutely do and strive to. But I think as a woman physician, the people that I know and myself, I think we veer on the other side of that. And I think that's something we have to take into consideration and really decide who you are and what that means to you and what advice you need to take and what you need to leave. Because I think as a woman physician, we are people pleasers. We do like people to like us. We are approachable people by nature. People tell us things that they don't tell anyone else, as a physician. And people feel very open to talking to you, and people feel that they are on a friendly level with me and with my colleagues when maybe that's not exactly what it is, because we're the employers. And so I think having those strong boundaries and being able to have a really good relationship with people, but yet still hold those boundaries is very, very important, especially for women physicians. I feel like it's not as hard for men physicians because the dynamic is just inherently different. And so I think that's something that we have to take all of that advice that's given to us and parse through it and see what's for me and what's necessarily not for me, that maybe that's for someone else. And I get that, and I can see the value in it and take the value that I need from that. And in that, the mentors that you have, like I said, they can tell you the roads they've been down and where those roads go, and don't go down that one. And I know what happens with this. And I think there's so much value in that. And I think, you need to listen to everything that they say and again, parse through that of like what's useful for you and what's not. As my mentors have always been men, because that's just who I have been around, who I've looked up to. I like the way that they do things, and I like their input. I like that it's very straightforward. But some of those roads look different for me than they do for them. And so that's been something that I've had to navigate of, okay, this is my person that I look up to and the way that they do things. And what does that mean for me? And how do I take that out of it? And maybe, it's more thought that goes into it if you have a different dynamic with people. But I think we all need to take that advice differently, I think it's been incredible for me to have mostly men mentors in the way that it gives me a different perspective than the one that I have. And I think that's something also that's important, is getting a lot of different perspectives on what you're doing, because then you can always find a different or a better way to do what it is that you're doing. So being open to those different perspectives for wherever they come from. Particularly if there are people that are around you in different fields. That's something that I've found incredibly valuable is surrounding myself with other business owners from different industries, and they can show me the way that they do different things that have been challenges or haven't been challenges for them, and things that I can implement in our business. I find that so valuable, and even a little bit more so than talking to people who are in my same industry, in my same shoes, that maybe we keep finding the same, roadblocks, whereas a different industry has found a way completely around that roadblock and it's way behind them at this point. So making it a point to surround yourself with people from different backgrounds, from different industries, and seeking out those opportunities to just have conversations with them and like pick their brains, because there's a lot there. And if you're not failing, you're not trying. It feels terrible to fail, but that's growth. Growth is always going to be uncomfortable. It's for high achievers in particular, we do not like that feeling. We do not like the way that is if we are not in control, if we're not succeeding in that situation, and tend to back away from it. But you need to embrace it and feel that feeling and understand, okay, what happened with that and how can I make that better? And just like we do in surgery, where you say, okay, we'll say if you're the only way to not have complications is not to operate. Things happen. We do everything in our possibilities, everything in our hands to avoid them, because we don't want to have them. But things just happen, and that happens in business too. And so being able to do that retrospective analysis of, okay, well, what happened and how can I do that better, and learning from it. And so I think as physicians, we don't take the failures as well, but it's seeing it in a different light of, okay, this is a learning experience. This is a opportunity to change directions. I like to think about things that are negative that may have happened as an opportunity to go a different way. We had a laser that I just bought, and that thing died, and everyone that I talked to said that it's not supposed to die. This laser is supposed to last forever. We've never seen this. This doesn't ever happen. And just in case you don't know, they're very expensive. But what it is an opportunity to go in a direction that I actually initially had in mind that I wanted to go. So we're going to take this as an opportunity to do something different that I think will actually add to the practice that we already have and add to the services that we have. And so it's that changing of your mind, changing of the framing of things that happen. Is it a roadblock? Is it a opportunity for change? Rather than, oh, well, that didn't work, and stopping at that point or not doing anything about it. And sometimes the hardest obstacles are your biggest blessings. The things that you think are going to work out and going to be the best, it's a pretty good chance that's not going to work the way that you think that's going to work. It's probably not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. It may happen, but it'll be completely different and not the way that you thought it was going to be. And embracing those times and knowing that, okay, this is maybe not ideal, but something's going to come out of it that's going to be better, or this is going to be a way that we're going to be able to do what it was that we wanted to do. We just couldn't do it before. The doors, it's going to open. It just may not be the door that you want to open. It's going to be the door next to it, but it's probably going to be better, and accepting those things and being able to roll with the punches, because that's life and that's business, and that's, how that works for everybody is, being able to embrace those things that don't go as well, and embrace change. And regardless of what has happened in our practice of different change, different things, we've continued to grow each year, which is exciting, because starting in a pandemic, where I was pregnant and had a baby the month after we opened, and didn't know exactly what was going to happen, and an industry that was booming like crazy in 2020, and then kind of had a little slump after that, and is starting to come back, and can be ups and downs. It's really exciting to see all the positive things that happen and be able to step back from the things that weren't so great and have that mind shift change to, okay, these are opportunities, and how can we solve this problem, and look at business more from that perspective of these are just problems to solve, which is very much what a surgeon does every day. You know, you have a problem, you have a patient that needs surgery. How do you solve that? How do you take the gallbladder out in the best way? How do you make the nose look as beautiful as it can? This is what we do all the time. You're starting with this, you need this endpoint. How do you get from point A to point B? And so even though physicians back away from the business aspects of medicine, I think it's something that we can embrace more, and we need to think about more in a problem-solving way, and more of taking back medicine into the hands of the physicians and of the patients, and being able to control that relationship a little bit better in a more efficient way. And my final thoughts from Alex Hormozi, which I totally agree with and believe in. The best thing you can do is give with no expectations, because you'll get the most back in life and from other people if you give. And his context of that is starting your business. You have no reputation. No one knows you. Oh, you're just nobody. What are you selling? And if you can give services that people can see, oh yeah, you are good. You're really good at what you do. You're really good at, the way that you related with clients or whatever it is, or with patients, they are going to come back, and they're going to come back and bring friends. And so from a business perspective, if you can deliver whatever it is that you have on that high level, and you can show people what you can do, that's the best, that's your word of mouth. And just in life, if you can give without expectation of getting back, you'll get back tenfold from just people that you didn't even think noticed. So that's my final thought, is give with no expectation, and life will give back to you. So thank you for listening. If you like this, please like, share, follow. You can find me at www.drangela.sturm.com or any of the socials at Dr. Angela Sturm. Oh, thanks for watching.